big gala event for ESP a few weeks ago up in Athens, and was talking to a guy. He's a music producer, and we were just chatting about music and stuff. And I said, "Is it just me, or does the mix on records seem out of whack these days?" And he said, "Well, what'll happen is these artists will come in, and I'll, do the recording, get their mix down, and they'll go, 'No, I want it to sound like,' throw somebody in, Kanye, whoever. I want it to sound like this." And he's like, "Yeah, but you can't understand the words." He's like, "I want it to sound like this." And
so then you can't understand the words.
So you can't understand the words. You just hear boom, 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 and all that other kind of stuff. And it's like,
there's a reason you go to a guy to mix your music, and don't do it yourself.
That's exactly right.
Because you can write lyrics and you can write beats and notes and melodies and all this stuff, but if you can't put them all together and it doesn't sound right, then who cares?
Well, that kills me worse than anything when I see and hear Christian music that does that.
Oh man!
Because music itself has no morality.
Right.
Music has no soul. It's just music.
It's just music.
The lyrics are what makes it. And so, like Third Day was always really good about you could always understand the lyrics. And every time we played, every time we recorded, that was always my thing was you've got to understand the words.
You have to, yeah.
And now I went to church this morning. It's like, who's mixing sound?
He's going to listen to this now.
You can't hear nothing. All you hear is music. And it's like, in church and worship, you can't hear the words. Something's wrong.
Yeah. Was it we? Did you go to we this morning?
No. We've actually been going to Cross Point City.
Okay. With James.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we're at the wrong campus, so it's satellite.
Okay,
so
yeah.
I had to get used to seeing the pastor on the screen. That's a little different for me.
Yeah, what is that? I've never done that before.
It's not bad, actually, because their video feed is so good, you can't really tell. There's times when you're just like, oh, he is on the screen.
Yeah.
Because the screen's huge, of course. It looks like he's 9 feet tall.
Right.
And so, but you're just sitting there watching, you're like, why's he so tall? Oh, yeah, he's on the screen.
Because he's
I did this morning. But they had a live band for worship. And then...
so your band is on site, and then you're watching the pastor in Cartersville.
Yep. Okay. And they have a campus pastor, too. So he kind of facilitates and, kind of moves the service along. And I don't know how they do it, if they record it like the early service and replay it. I don't know how they do that. But anyway, they got 5 campuses now. 5 or 6.
5. I've been to the one, we were the one in Cartersville a long time, and I use them as an example a lot of times about folks feeling welcome at church, because it was down there on Tennessee Street where, what was the bar called? Coyotes? It had been several different things.
So. Yeah, that's where they started out.
Right.
Yeah.
So we parked across the street in that liquor store parking lot to go to church in the old bar,
Yep.
And then this dude runs out in the street and almost gets hit by a car to come over and welcome us to church.
Wow.
And show us where to take our kids for childcare and where to get coffee and all this stuff. And I was like, bro, we'd have made it to the door, but this guy's, risking his life trying to get us in church.
Trying to make sure you're welcome.
Yeah.
Hey.
Meanwhile, folks are like, I don't want to go to church because it's scary. I get that too, but go visit that guy one time. He'll make you feel right at home.
He'll either make you feel right at home or scare you to death.
Yeah, a little bit of both.
Yeah.
Yeah, good. But I got to spend just a little bit of time with James. He's good.
He's solid, dude.
Yeah.
And that was, I love Adam to death. I really do.
Yeah.
But an ADHD person in the crowd trying to follow an ADHD pastor does not work.
It's
I'm
tough.
just like, dude, I have problems. And so we went to, and Sarah had went to Cross Point for a while when she lived in Cartersville. And then the first time we went, I was like, man, I think I got more meat in like 20 minutes than I had in a while.
Yeah.
And I was like, this place is solid.
And sometimes it's just a G-Hall thing. Your personalities don't quite line up.
Yeah. And like I said, I love Adam to death.
Yeah.
But
that's good because he'll listen to this.
I'm glad. Yeah. I love him. I do. I love him to death.
Yeah. Well, he and I had a real similar conversation. The first, because we went, we tried a few times when we were looking for a church, and they were great. The people were great. Adam's great.
So are y'all not meeting anymore?
We're not. It's wrong before. No, we weren't.
I didn't know. I just remember seeing you at we a couple times.
It was 1st of August, I guess. End of June, end of July, I guess. 1st of August, we decided to kind of disband. We had some people leave, and we were down to 2 or 3 families. And
it's
got
hard.
real small, which was fine. I mean, I feel like we did what God wanted us to do in that period of time.
Yeah.
I don't have any regrets about it.
Yeah.
it just left us looking for a church, and that was tough.
Yeah.
It's hard to find a church.
It is really hard.
But
In a town of a bunch of churches.
Isn't it crazy?
It's hard to find a church.
Yeah, well, that's the hardest part is like we would try to get ahead of it because you don't want to wake up on Sunday morning and go, where are we going to church today?
Yeah, because then you ain't going.
Right. No, it's too late by then. So we're talking about it on like Saturday, Friday, Thursday. Where are we going to go? And like I know, 20 pastors or whatever, and you try to get around and listen to all of them, but at the same time, like where do I go first? And and so
and then also when you walk in, there's always the questions. It's like, well, what are you doing here?
Yeah, right. And then
for,
you got
for the first while until things get
right.
I guess till people understand because like I said, I didn't know, and then like I said, I saw you a few times at and I was like, okay,
yeah.
But we've been at Cross Point for several months, and enjoy it. It's different getting used to pastor on the screen though.
Yeah,
it's a little different. But
I don't know. I'm kind of like you're talking about, with your thing with Adam. I don't know if I could do it. I could probably do it short term. I could do it a few times or periodically or something like that, but I don't know.
And it's hard for me because I grew up in a small Southern Baptist church. My dad was a pastor, so and we had actually talked about it before. A pastor of a really big church can't pastor church the way my daddy pastored.
Yeah.
Because my daddy, every Thursday night, he was going visiting, dude.
Yeah.
He was knocking on doors, spending time with people.
Right.
We were in the dove field with people. We were hunting with people. We were, building bridges, all kind of stuff. You can't do that when you've got a church family of 900 people.
Right.
Because then everybody feels jaded. They're like, well, the pastor don't ever talk to me. Or the
went to
pastor
see
don't
them, but didn't come to see me or whatever. Yeah.
Or he's having dinner with them or they're friends. And
right.
Yeah, it's hard. And so I get it. But we enjoy it out there, so I can't really complain.
Well, that's what it amounts to. You're getting. I know you're getting good preaching.
Yeah,
James is good.
He enjoys it. He enjoys staying downstairs in big church.
Yeah,
more so than he enjoys going upstairs.
How old is he?
9.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's just huge.
He's a big fella.
Yeah, he's just huge for a 9. It's funny because everybody looks at him like, oh, he's like 12 or 13, right? I'm like, just talk to him.
When I asked, I was expecting you to say 12.
Yeah. When you start talking to him, then you're like, oh, yeah, you're 9.
Yeah.
He has that 9-year-old not the vocabulary, just the way he says things, the way he does things. And so you can tell he's 9.
But he's a big fella.
And strong. If I could get him, my goal is, so we have some things that are got to get handled this week, court-wise.
Oh, okay.
Once that is done, after April hits, I'm going to get him over a PJ.
Okay.
Yeah. So
man, it's going to be fun.
Well, I've already talked to PJ because I want to come over there and train too. But it's
you do.
Well, it's like I told PJ. I said, listen, I'm not going to be the one that can go over there and just go roll in with everybody.
Right.
My shoulders won't let me.
Yeah.
I can't get busted up and beat up, because of my job.
Right.
Coming in, running drills and things. And plus, I want him to look and see what we're doing on the law enforcement side. And kind of get his opinion. So I got a buddy from Savannah that I used to train, runs Savannah Combat Club. I was in Savannah 3 weeks ago, I guess it was, teaching our academy down there.
You're not talking about Jacob Arp, are you?
No. This guy's Stephen Bass. He fought on UFC.
Okay. Is that where, do you know Jacob Arp? He's buddies with PJ, and he's in Savannah, had been up here with us, moved down there, and I think that's where he's training.
Okay.
He's a purple belt.
Okay. Stephen just now started back doing jiu-jitsu. He was not doing it for a while. He was focusing really on his boxing program because he was using it as an outreach to keep kids out of trouble.
Right.
And so he just now started back doing jiu-jitsu. Stephen's instructor was a guy named Mushin Cobre. He's under Lloyd Irvin. Walked into Lloyd's gym and started training and pretty much got a purple belt on the spot.
Wow.
Never really trained other than himself.
Yeah.
And Lloyd's like, no. And gave him a purple belt on the spot. He fought for Strike Force and Bellator and a couple other guys.
Yeah, we've all seen him on TV.
Yeah. But then Stephen fought, he was with Ultimate Fighter like season 4 maybe. And so he fought 3 or 4 fights with them. So anyway, I was in Savannah teaching at our academy, teaching instructors down there. I changed the DT program. And so we were down there, and he's like, I'm going to come see what y'all are doing. So he came in and helped me teach the instructors. And then I went in the evenings and helped him in his boxing gym. Yeah. And so I got to go help teach boxing. So it was pretty fun.
Good deal.
Yeah, fun times.
Yeah. But yeah, we got to get you in there, man. Come drill with it. There's times, man, when I'm in the room and I'm looking around and I don't see an easy roll.
Yeah.
I go, maybe just not tonight because I'm 46, man. I'm not.
Yeah, I'll be 52 in June, so I feel
I'm not trying to get torn in half by some kid, college wrestler half my age,
It's not with this. This right shoulder. You start touching it, and I'm like, tap early, tap often.
I'm out. That's my best escape.
Yeah.
The tap, 100%. I get out every time.
Yeah, that's it. Hopefully.
Right. Which is also why you don't jump in there with some of these kids because they, God bless them.
Yeah.
Get twisted up in there. But
full of pea and vinegar, baby.
That's it. It'd be fun to have Bear in there too, though.
Well, he needs some confidence builders, so and some toughness. I can only beat on him so long.
That'll get there, man. I know our 5-year-old started. He turned 4 in November, and then he started in would have been March, April.
Yeah.
The following spring, whatever. And he's night and day different kid now.
Yeah.
And some of it's just him growing up a little bit, but a lot of it is him having to sit and listen to a coach and then follow instructions.
And work through it.
And the structure of class and all that good stuff.
Well, that's how boys grow into be men. If you put them in hard situations. Yeah. And they have to thrive.
Right.
And when they're surrounded by mommies, that don't happen.
That's tough, man. Yeah, no. There's just no substitute for dad.
No, and that's the fight I'm in right now. So
yeah.
But
let's not get you in trouble because other folks might listen to this.
I don't care. Don't matter to me.
Yeah.
I ain't gonna say nothing I wouldn't say outright. So.
Right. No, I got you. But you're into a whole bunch of stuff these days. You're doing something different than last time we talked, right?
No, I'm still at the police academy.
Okay.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure. I guess you were.
Yeah, I think I just started last time we chatted.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yep.
Had gotten off the road and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I'm in the classroom, and so I actually had a discussion with somebody a while ago. A girl, she's a firefighter. We worked around each other a few times, on calls and stuff like you always do. But she was like, "Did you quit Rome?" And I was like, "Yeah, I left." And we just got talking about it, and she's like, "Well, are you enjoying Gypstick?" I'm like, "Yeah, most days."
Yeah.
But there's some days that I miss the adrenaline rush. I miss the chaos.
Man, yeah.
Miss kicking indoors and snatching out bad guys.
Well, that's what we had Ricky Robinson on a couple episodes back, and he said pretty much the same thing. Mm-hmm. He's to the point in life now where he didn't want to be in a foot chase anymore in the middle of the night in the woods.
Yep.
But sometimes he does.
Oh, I know.
Sometimes.
100%, man.
Yeah.
Well, we were in Cartersville yesterday. We had taken him and Sarah's youngest daughter to Dillinger Park to play and stuff like that. Then we went to Coconuts and got ice cream, and we were coming back. And as we're coming down 41, here come Cartersville PD, just blue light, just hauling tail. Yeah. And dude, I could just feel it coming. I was like, man, it's killing me.
You reach up, hit the lights, and get in line?
It's like, God, it's killing me. And she's like, they're flying. I was like, I miss it. And then last weekend, we were on Broad Street eating dinner. We was ate at John Henry's. Mm-hmm. And so one of the guys I work with texted, and he said, hey, the Mongrel Motorcycle Club is at Giggity's. Well, there was 4 motorcycle clubs at Giggity's.
Oh.
It was the Mongrels. Of course, it was the local Freedom Seekers. And then it was 2 other local little, little, I don't know what you'd call them, little mom and pop motorcycle clubs. One of them's from Lindale and one of them's from somewhere else. Yeah. And so the Lindale boys apparently got going in a hurry. The other group, I think there was 4 of them and 25 Mongrels, and they kind of looked and didn't like their odds, so they left.
Yeah.
And so the Freedom Seekers it looked like they were kind of migrating to Mellow Mushroom, and Mongrels are going to stay on their side. So I was like, these are the kind of nights I miss, man. When it's a powder keg, and something about to pop off, and I want to be in the middle of it.
Well, there's just not. You can't find that rush anywhere else.
No.
You can do jiu-jitsu or kickboxing or whatever, and it's not the same thing.
No. And I've listened to a lot of former special forces guys, and I'm sure Edgar probably talked about it too. Yeah. There's no greater rush than hitting a door and knowing somebody's on the other side wants to kill you.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's a little different for them because, they'll frag out and blow holes and everything and just walk in and clean up the mess.
You just don't know, though, what's going to happen.
Yeah. Our rules of engagement are a little different. We can't do that.
A little bit.
And we can't just pump holes in the side of a building with a 50 cal and then come in and clean it up. And so that part, man, just knowing there's somebody over there and kicking that door in anyway, it's something like it.
Well, even something as simple as a traffic stop.
Oh, yeah.
You're going to walk up on this car and you got no idea. You think there's 2 or 3 people in there, but there might be a 4th. And There might,
or it may be, little old soccer mom, who's, dishing out snacks and butt whoopings.
Yeah.
And that's why she's swerving. Or it may be, some guy who's a lifer and don't want to go back to prison.
Yeah.
He's driving around with suspended license. You don't know.
Yeah.
And so that's, I miss that part. And so, it's hard to find that rush in the academy. I'm lucky because my boss lets me teach pretty much what I like to teach.
Yeah.
Everybody at our academy right now kind of has their own little niche.
Yeah.
So all the defensive tactics, that's my baby. Mm-hmm. I'm always on, always in the mix on like building clearing and firearm stuff and everything else. But DT, I pretty much do what I want.
Yeah.
And so they've allowed me to get some cool new little toys. I mean, we just got shot knives in like last week.
Shot knives.
Shot knives. They're fun to play with.
It sounds like it.
They run off a 9-volt battery and static electricity. And so when you have one with a fresh battery, it's literally like getting cut.
So what is a shot knife? It sounds fun, but I don't know what
it's just, it's just basically a knife. And then, like I said, it has a battery. You hit a button and it electrifies the blade. So as you're working through knife defense, it's like really feels like you're getting cut.
Oh, okay. So we're simulating a knife fight.
It's that positive reinforcement.
It's not an offensive weapon.
No, not at all. No, it's just for
I thought you were
training.
talking about maybe a ballistic knife that zaps somebody.
No.
Okay.
And then we have we got these new things called I think they're called All Fire or AccuFire. I think they're All Fire. They're these sleeves you put on, and then they have wires that go to them. They go to like a pack on your chest or on your back. And so while you're doing whatever, like if we're doing building clearing or something, I'm sitting here with basically like an iPad, and I can hit a button, and it sends electric shock to certain parts of your arm. So it can either just like kind of be irritating, or it can literally make you look like, the strong, this is my strong hand guy from, what movie was that? Scary Movie.
Scary Movie, yeah.
Or it'll lock it out completely straight. So how we work those in is, we'll be building clear and doing active shooter stuff. Doop. Oh, you just got shot. Now you got to put a tourniquet on. And it's locked out until you get a tourniquet on. So mixing those in has been really cool.
Yeah.
And then I actually was texting PJ the other day. I got to go play with this thing called a robot. I don't know if you've ever seen it or not.
Play with the robot terrifies me.
Not robot. Robot. Yeah.
The little jiu-jitsu doll, doll dummy.
Yeah. So we were looking at purchasing some. And so we went and played with them a few weeks ago down in Forsyth. And so it's neat.
Yeah.
But so they have.
I'm just a blue belt though. That's scary.
Well, it doesn't do anything. It just basically sits kind of in a crunched position.
So it just gives resistance.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so as you're working, like say you go for an arm bar, it will literally hyperextend like a real arm. It's got springs in it.
I don't know if you know Brandon McCaffrey. He's a black belt over in Alabama. Okay. He did a video with one.
Yeah.
And its joints will break.
Yep.
You hear it pop and whatever.
Yeah. And then it's got sensors on the carotid artery. So, you put a rear naked choke in.
Yeah.
You can hear it first. It'll start going,
yeah.
And then it's like tap, 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 tap. Ooh. And then if you hold on too long, it'll say fatality. And so that was the one we played with. The only problem we had was it always goes back to kind of that hunched position. Mm-hmm. So unless you really have two people, you can't flatten it out on its stomach. Mm. You have to have somebody straighten the legs out.
Right.
So some ways realistic, some ways not. And then if it had a sensor like on the front, let's say you do a rear naked choke wrong, and you get your elbow off to the side to where basically your forearm's crushing the windpipe. Something that would give you a warning and be like, "Hey, dummy, you're doing it wrong."
Sink it in.
Yeah, you're killing me quick. That would have been cool. But the model we were looking at was like $5,000, and for the one that has all the sensors in it, like what the military uses, was like $15,000.
Whoa!
And we were looking at buying like 15 of them, 16 of them. So.
Sounds like you need some sponsorship.
Well, the government has the money. It's just they ask us. They were like, "Is it worth it?"
Yeah.
I mean, we were going to play with it and have fun.
Yeah.
But I mean,
well, it would be nice to not have to let people beat up people, like getting beat up in training. You spare a man that way. But for that kind of money, you could hire a few more officers.
Well, or you just back it down a little bit.
Right.
But I know they were quoting some guys that are like UFC trainers or whatever. One of them, he won't, like if he's got guys coming up for a fight, he won't let them roll with live people.
Yeah.
Like a couple weeks before the fight, they'll roll with that. So that way you don't have to worry about them getting hurt.
You don't have a spaz or...
Yeah, and that's pretty cool. But straight chokes work pretty well. Arm bars work pretty well. Nothing in the shoulders. So if you wanted to hit like a Americana or Kimura or something, you wasn't going to do anything with it. It's just flopping. And then like a head and arm choke is really hard to get it to do anything because there was no muscle mass.
Right.
And so it wasn't pliable. So it was different. But it was fun to play with. It didn't cost me nothing. So
I kind of want to play with one, but I've seen iRobot, you know.
Waiting on that thing to stand up, start choking you out.
Yeah, tap.
Yep.
He doesn't understand because he's a robot.
No, not a bit.
Yeah. That's exciting stuff, though. I mean, it's cool. You've made this transition from kicking down doors to teaching about how to kick down doors. And
yeah, it's a little different.
So I'll ask you this then. As a tough guy, right, as a kickboxer, as a long-term law enforcement officer, what is that transition like when you look at yourself and you go, you know, maybe I'm not as quick as I used to be, and it's time for me to move on and share experience and knowledge without sacrificing my body anymore?
It's hard admitting that.
Yeah.
And actually, I remember being in Walker County. I had just had my second shoulder surgery and was coming back from it and got back on the road. And the very first night I got back on the road, I got into a fight. And
this guy doesn't care that you just had shoulder surgery?
Not knowing if my shoulder was going to hold up, if it was going to maintain or whatever, that was the scary part.
Yeah.
And I remember telling Sarah, I'm like, you know, I'm 50 years old. I don't heal like I used to. Things don't work like they used to. Maybe it's time. And so when I started talking to Gypstick, and my boss now used to be the lieutenant there. He was kind of one of the cadre instructors. He had tried to get me to come over there like 3 or 4 different times. And one time I'd actually put an application in. But the other time I wasn't ready to come off the road yet.
Yeah. And
so when I come off the road this time, he was like, "Are you sure you're ready?" And I was like, "I don't really know."
Yeah.
But right now my body says I am. And so both my knees, are killing me trying to think about getting into a foot chase. And the foot chase part itself don't bother me. It's jumping over a log and stepping in a hole, or it's running where you can't see. Yeah. That stuff, that's what bothers me because I know what that does to your body. And so, so when I made the change, of course it was new, it was exciting, it's more money. Then everybody told me after a few weeks, "Oh, you won't miss the road at all." I'm the opposite. Yeah. Because after a year, I'm like, I'm fiending. I'm like, man, I miss that. I miss the fun stuff I got to do. And so it's been hard because for a long time, to me, that was my purpose. Yeah. And when you're having to try to find your purpose in something new, it's different. It's difficult. Some of our new cadets, they're younger. You have to slow things down a little bit because they don't learn the way we used to learn. Right. The way we used to learn was just throw you in there. Daddy comes say, "Hey, go cut the grass." Right. Lawnmower's broke. We'll fix it and cut the grass. Figure it out. And so me and Bear actually had a discussion today because I was like, buddy, I said, so-and-so gets away with doing stuff that you're not going to get away with. Yeah. So-and-so gets to sit in front of a TV or in front of a computer or whatever, and that's not going to be you. You're going to learn how to do stuff, because my job is to train you to be a man, and that's how you do it. Yeah. And so, so that part of it's been good because I've been able to and that's where my boss got me was, you got a chance here to make an impact on 25 or 30 people. Or you come to the academy, you got a chance to make an impact on hundreds. Yeah. And that's been one of the cool things that's been happening lately with me revamping the DT program is getting more up-to-date training stuff that it used to be we taught a bunch of different techniques. Mm-hmm. We didn't really put them in a flow together. And so now our main thing we do is everything I teach is to get to handcuff position. Right. So I don't want to teach you this cool new armbar. I want to teach you how to do this armbar, get them to the ground, get them into gift wrap or whatever, get them rolled over till you can get handcuff position. Right. Because nothing else matters. My primary goal, it does not matter if you get involved in a shooting and you shoot somebody, whatever, 1 time, 12 times, 100 times, don't matter. The first thing that happens is you put them in handcuffs. Yeah. I don't care if half of them still laying there. You still put them in handcuffs.
Yeah.
And so the final destination on the roadmap. So we always say and I kind of borrowed it from the Gracies. So there's 5 things you have to do in a defensive tactics encounter. Number 1, maintain and control distance. You have to either I'm all the way in or I'm all the way out. There's no middle. There's no in between. Right. Secondly, I got to maintain control of my weapon because I know there's at least one, and I brought it.
Yeah.
And this is Georgia. Everybody's got one.
Everybody's got one. Yeah.
Number 3, I got to address the threat. Typically, law enforcement training for the last 30 years was if I'm sitting here and I'm dealing with you in a law enforcement situation, and you grab a knife. Well, we were always taught step back, create distance, grab a gun.
Yeah.
The problem is when that knife comes out, it's hot, and it don't care who it cuts.
Yeah.
And there's no way I can back up faster than you can move forward. Plus losing those fine motor skills of trying to beat that weapon retention on my gun. Plus, I don't always work on a nice padded flat area. I mean, if that happened in this room right now, I'd be tripping over stuff and running into stuff and everything else. So I have to address the threat. I have to move forward toward it. Number 4 is get to a position of advantage. So that's angles. You see angles and how they work in fighting, fist fighting, in jiu-jitsu, right? Getting your hips out on that triangle to sink that triangle in. Yeah. Or if me and you are standing up and I'm going for a takedown, getting to that 90-degree angle so I can catch that body lock and work that angle. If we're fist fighting, I don't want to stand here in front of you and play rock'em sock'em robot.
Yeah.
I'm going to throw my shots. I'm going to step to the angle and hopefully leave you still looking straight ahead with that, like the buzzard on Bugs Bunny going, which way did he go, George?
Yeah.
Right? While I'm standing over here putting my fist through your ear hole. So number 4 is get to position advantage, work angles. And number 5 is handcuff.
Yeah.
And so no matter what, we got to get to handcuffing. So I've been able to revamp our entire program, which has been really fun. The other thing it's done is it's sent me to other places in the state. So I went to Savannah and I taught instructors down there to get their guys up to speed. And then I wound up teaching, their vehicle extraction class and things like that. And then a couple weeks ago, I was in Forsyth helping our class, and then they sent me to Tifton, and I taught the instructors on Thursday in Tifton, and then I taught the vehicle extraction class on Friday for the cadets.
Yeah.
So been getting to go throughout the state a good bit. And then in May, I'm going to help teach the defensive tactics instructor class at our primary facility in Forsyth. So it's opened up a lot of doors, and that's been fun. And that's what Sarah keeps telling me. She's like, look, God's opening up doors for you to do what you like to do. Yeah. It ain't exactly what you want to do, but you have an opportunity to make an impact.
Well, I was going to say the same thing earlier, and you brought it up that, you had your opportunity to influence people on the road, whatever, and you could help somebody or you could save a life. And now you're working with hundreds of people, maybe thousands all told. How many lives can you save by, sound instruction and, hey, this is what you ought to do. I know what the book says, but I've been there and done it, and this is what you really ought to do, And
well, and I have cadets even still, and even guys that I worked with before, they'll call me and they'll be like, hey, that technique you showed, I used that. Or, hey, I got a question about something.
Yeah.
I had a guy call me a few weeks ago. His got involved into a use of force incident. He called me. He's like, listen, agency's trying to hem me up. What do you think? And, based off what he told me and what the law says, he was reasonable.
Yeah.
Questions like that, I love answering those because it shows to me that, I got to make an impact on somebody. But I still miss kicking in doors.
Man, yeah.
I still miss dragging people out of cars.
I mean, there's not a guy listening to this right now that doesn't want to kick a door down.
Oh, man.
We're hoping there's not anything bad on the other side, but how much fun is it to just kick the door down?
Well, and I think even still, we have to train like there's going to be.
Right.
As dads and as men.
Yeah.
We need to train that, I can handle myself and, with jiu-jitsu or shooting and whatever. And so that part of it I enjoy. I would love to get, I have people ask me all the time, hey, you gonna open a gym again? I don't want to take time away from them.
You got a gym, man, you do. It's not kickboxing or whatever, but that's what it is.
And, we're going to be able to, one of the things we are offering to all the local agencies or even wherever. So most agencies, I'm not going to say all, but a lot of agencies don't have, I'm not going to say qualified because that's not the right word. You can get a defensive tactics instructor certification just going to a class. It's a 2-week class. So you can get it. But are they super versed in what that means?
In 2 weeks, I could learn whatever that person could teach me in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
But I mean, that doesn't give me the experience that you're going to get.
But you also come from a jiu-jitsu background.
Right.
So you can break that thing down from a martial arts standpoint.
Yeah.
That's where you are qualified. But think if you had no experience whatsoever.
Right.
And you're coming in and now you've got to teach these techniques. And so that's why some of our instructors don't feel comfortable. So while I was in Tifton, one of the things that we started doing at the academy the last couple of sessions is we brought boxing in. So now they have to spar. And on day one, I tell them, get a mouthpiece because you're sparring.
Yeah.
Because the vast majority of our class has never been punched in the face before. And how I propose that is, you never been punched in the face before. Do you really want the first time you've been punched in the face to be on the side of the road with a 300-pound naked man trying to kill you?
Why does it got to be naked? I mean, I guess he might just be naked.
It might just be. And so, well, typically because when they're naked on the side of the road, that means they're probably amped up on PCP or something like that.
Something going on.
Yeah, something going on. So, so that's kind of how I propose that.
Yeah.
And so a lot of these kids have never been punched in the face. And so that's kind of why we brought boxing in.
Okay.
And so when I was in Tifton, I called my boss and I said, listen, call the manager down there at that academy and see if he wants me to run their boxing session while I'm here. And they were like, yes, please.
Yeah, by all means.
Because the guys weren't comfortable doing it, and I get it.
Yeah.
Trying to manage all that. I understand. But, we hadn't really had anybody, other than like busted noses and stuff like that, we hadn't had any injuries.
Right.
We ordered 16-ounce boxing gloves. We ordered USA Boxing approved headgear. Huh?
Throwing the big ones, the 16s.
Yeah. And so we hadn't had any injuries.
Yeah.
But that's where it's been really good because I have been able to kind of influence that part. But still, it's like, I don't know. It's hard.
Yeah. I don't know. It's refreshing to me because I don't know what it is about my algorithm. I guess it's because I watch them when they pop up. You see these videos of police officers and they've chased somebody down and they grab a handful of shirt. Mm-hmm. And it turns into this thing where you go, well, if you knew how to do an ankle pick, this could be over by now.
Or just grab hold of the waist. Just catch a body lock and grab hold of the waist.
And they're fighting and they're pulling and they got a finger or, grab her wrist. And
the one that kills me is they grab their wrist with one hand and they start taking their handcuffs out with the other.
Yeah.
And so now they're fighting with a set of handcuffs in their hand. It's like.
You got one hand now.
Yeah. Because you're not going to let it go. Right. Everybody always thinks, I'll just drop them. That's not how it works.
No, you test stuff. You're not thinking about dropping your handcuffs. You think about putting them on, but there's a lot of steps between here and there.
But it's also the science of how your body works. Think about if you're walking down the street with your kid holding hands. Right? Yeah. You're walking down Broad Street, and a car swerves towards y'all. What's the first thing your kid does?
He tries to pull away.
Yes, that's right. You ain't letting go of nothing.
Yeah, no.
It's the same thing. Your adrenaline starts pumping while you're holding on to a set of handcuffs, fighting with somebody. You're not going to let them go.
Yeah.
So watching those videos, I cringe because I'm like, don't touch them cuffs until it's time.
You're right.
But so that's, like I said, that's some of the stuff we hammer in. But even though you hammer it in, they still forget.
Yeah.
Because they've been doing it. They've been doing this job for 8 weeks.
Right.
That's it.
Had to use their handcuffs twice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
In scenarios that are safe.
Right.
And next thing you know, and so Academy used to be 12 weeks long. That's all it was. And then they go to their agency and spend however long in the FTO program. Some agencies have a 6-week FTO program. Some agencies have a 17-week FTO program.
Right.
Like Rome's was about 17 weeks. But there are agencies in North Georgia that you might ride with somebody for 2 weeks and you're on your own. Brand spanking new kid.
That's how we end up with these videos where
Exactly right. Well, so used to be, agencies would not hire you or send you to the academy unless you were 21. Because by state law, you're not supposed to carry a gun until you're 21.
Right.
Well, now, I got kids 19, 20 years old with no life experience, nothing.
Didn't Ricky say this exact same thing?
Probably.
Yeah, he did. Almost exactly, yeah.
You
just putting kids out there.
Yeah, and no life experience. All they've ever done is this right here.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so they don't, again, like we talked about before, they don't learn the way we learned.
Yeah.
You have to slow things down, and you have to give them manageable bites. You can't just throw them in mass chaos.
Yeah.
And that's me because, actually, I got my hair cut yesterday, and me and my barber were talking about it, and a guy down on Broad Street at Rome Barber, and we were discussing it, and he was like, said something about chaos, and I was like, yeah, I think I thrive in chaos. When the city's burning, I'm happy, man.
Some people do.
When life is mundane, I'm just like,
boring.
Yeah, I'm just But when somebody's like, okay, tomorrow you got to be here, then you got to be here, you got to be here, I'm like, deuces, let's go.
Yeah, let's do it.
I was like, tomorrow morning I got that appointment. I got a doctor's appointment at 2:45. I drive down to Forsyth. I'll be in Forsyth all week long. And then Friday afternoon I got to drive back and play basketball. It's like, sounds like my kind of week.
Like you need to go to your orthopedic surgeon and then play a basketball game.
Yeah, I'm hoping to go put a shot in that thing tomorrow. I'm hoping. Please, right? Because I ain't going to be able to walk.
Yeah.
And then we'll spend all week long down there. So doing EVOC training, which is emergency vehicle operations. So they'll be doing pits and all different kind of stuff. Yeah. So that's one of the things at the academy. Like I was saying, it used to be 12 weeks. Now it's 20 weeks long.
It should be at least 20 weeks long.
So, well, it is now. I'm hoping we're going to go to 16 because 20 is a little much. Because we can get the same amount of hours in 16 that we get in 20.
Okay.
We just make the days a little longer.
It should be 20, and I have no idea what I'm talking about. So
I'll
defer to you.
Well, like I said, it used to be 12.
Yeah.
Then Post, which is the one that kind of manages all this as far as like law enforcement training, we had been working on a schedule for a year for 16 weeks. 2 days before our last graduation on Wednesday, before they graduate on Friday, Post goes, by the way, it's going to be 20 weeks.
For the class that was about to graduate?
No, for the class that was coming up. And
holy smokes.
The class that was coming up in like 2 weeks.
Wow. So you had 2 weeks to plan another 4 weeks.
Yeah. To stretch it out.
Yeah.
And so some of the stuff they're getting is awesome. Like they're getting almost triple the firearms time. So we're getting to spend more time teaching them actually how to gunfight, not just stand there and try to qualify.
That was Edgar's big thing. Like, let's learn how to shoot, not how to hit a paper target.
Yeah. And so used to be, we would literally spend almost the whole week trying to get them qualified. So now we get to do a lot more stuff, a lot more drills and stuff like that to get them more comfortable. Because a lot of those people have never shot a gun before.
How do you grow up in the state of Georgia and you've never fired a gun before? I mean, I guess it's
lack
possible.
of dads.
Okay, yeah, there you go.
I mean, most of us, where do we learn to shoot?
Our dad.
Yeah.
Or at least an uncle.
Yeah,
or
our drunk Uncle Eddie at Thanksgiving.
Right. Yeah, I got this new 38 special.
Yeah. I mean, that's where I learned to shoot with my dad.
Yeah.
And so I think part of that is where some of it comes from, is the dads aren't as involved. Part of it may be they're not in the home, but the other part may just be they're out working all the time.
Yeah.
And then when weekends come around, it's, I'm so soul-sucking exhausted, I can't do anything.
He just wants to put his feet up for a little while.
Yeah. And then I think some of it, too, has to be I don't know how to say the word, the unmasculinization of men, of trying to,
That's good enough.
Trying to take some of that edge off that we need to have.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
we demonize that now.
We have. We've
Toxic
said that,
masculinity.
Yeah, and
that is.
We've said that being masculine is not right.
Yeah.
But God designed us to be warriors.
Yeah.
That's in our DNA. That's how He made us.
Well, man, if this ceiling falls in, there's 4 of us in here right now. If the ceiling falls in and we're all incapacitated, I want some toxic masculinity to come in here and drag us out of the rubble.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's not like that girl from LA that was like, when you have
fire chief out there.
Yes, when you have a problem, you want somebody to look like you. No, I don't.
I don't care.
I want somebody that looks like that dude that plays Reacher on TV to come smash it and grab me out.
I want The Rock to show up.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that was always my thing. And when we were talking about having females on SWAT, it was a big to-do for a long time. And people asked me, I said, listen, if she can pass the PT qual, I'm okay.
Yeah.
And if she can take one of our normal size guys, not even our big guys, not somebody like me, but somebody normal size in their kit, which is probably going to put them 180 pounds, and can drag them out of the house, then I'm cool with it.
Yeah.
And Rome City has a female right now, and she can do all that.
Yeah.
And she is super squared away, an awesome girl.
Good for her, man.
But guess what? I don't want a guy on the team that can't do it either.
Right.
If the guy is so out of shape that he can't do that, then I don't want him.
Yeah.
Or if the guy is so scrawny and small that he can't do it, I don't want him.
Yeah.
So, but I think a lot of that has to do with the lack of dads in the home, or the lack of interaction. And a lot of them probably didn't grow up with guns either. You got to think about the generation that's raising kids now.
Yeah.
They're the first real internet generation.
That's us, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. The mid to late 30s right now.
Yeah.
And they got kids. That's the first real internet generation.
Yeah.
And so they didn't spend as much time outside. And so that's kind of where I want to turn back the clock on some of that as far as when it comes to him, because I want him to be a little feral thing, man.
Well, he needs to learn how to use an axe, start a fire, change a tire.
Well, I told him today. I said, we're going hunting, and you're gonna learn how to cook and skin what you cook, what you hunt.
Yeah.
Right. And he's already told me, he's like, Daddy, I want to go turkey hunting. I'm like, let's go. We'll bust them up.
PJ Broom put you on some turkeys.
Yeah. Well, my parents got a bunch of property in Alabama.
There you go.
My brother sends me pictures all the time. There'll be 27 in the backyard.
Man. He needs help then.
Yeah, that's what I'm screaming, man. Go over and whack them. But so a lot of our cadets never shot a gun, never been punched in the face, no life experience, no ability to deal with conflict. And they can't take criticism.
That's tough. Kirby Smart made that point the other day. I don't know if you saw that.
No, but I heard something about it.
Yeah, he talked about how these kids, these 19, 20-year-old kids, they don't like being coached hard. They can't handle it.
No, they can't.
They're offended by it, is the word he used.
Yeah. Well, so like with us on the academy, usually that first week, we smoke them pretty bad.
Yeah.
And so like day one, they're getting ran. They're doing all kind of physical stuff. We're yelling at them and stuff because we're trying to establish a baseline.
Yeah.
And so there was several of them that would not perform. And I'm not asking for much.
Right.
And so I had one that just would not run. He's just walking. And so I ran across the field, and one of my guys, I heard him say, that kid done screwed up if Manning's running. Because
in trouble.
I despise running. And dude, I just went out there and started yelling. I'm like, dude, how old are you? 24, sir.
24.
I said, I'm 51, and I'm out here outrunning you with busted up knees. You need to get moving.
Oh, man.
And, but he just you could not push him. Next thing you know, he's over there crying and stuff. And I'm like, really, dude?
Maybe this ain't for you, bro.
Well, I had one 2 sessions ago, I think it was. So there's a local college down a little further south, down 27. They have a wolf, for a mascot, but I'm not going to mention the school.
Okay.
But anyway, they have some, they run a cadet program, one program during the summertime. And we were working with their cadets, and we were doing traffic stops. And so I'm always the butthole on traffic stops, right? When you come up and tell me, because a lot of times what we'll do is, they'll have radios, they'll call their stop. Well, I'm the bad guy, but I'm also being dispatched at the same time.
Right.
So they'll run me, and I'll be like, whatever. He's got a warrant or suspended license, so they got to come place me under arrest. So this kid comes up, and he opens my door, and he's like, "Sir, get out of the car." Nope.
No.
He's like, "Get out of the car." No. Get out of the car. No. I'm going to make you get out of the car. And then, the tombstone quote comes out. You're a daisy if you do.
Yeah.
And so I just grab hold of the steering wheel. So he starts yanking and pulling and dragging, and I'm just laughing at him. And he's like, "Give me your hand." I was like, "What, like this?" Waved at him, grab hold of the steering wheel. And he keeps pulling and keeps pulling and keeps pulling and keeps pulling. And next thing I know, he's crying. And like he's losing it. And I went, index, because index is stop. No matter what you're doing, if an instructor says index, you stop. And I said, index. I was like, "What's going on?" He's like, I just don't know what to do. I just don't know what to do. I said, "Okay. Dude, what are you going to do if I get out of this car and I'm ready to fight?" I guess I'll just leave. I said, you can't leave. We're the ones they call.
You're the police.
We're who they call when they can't handle their crap. You can't just leave. And so, and we've had several situations like that I'm just like, you have no grit, you have no backbone.
Yeah.
You can't do this job, you're going to die. And, agencies don't want to hear that because they've invested a lot of money in these people.
Yeah.
They've invested time and sometimes I wish we could just pick up the phone and say, this person can't do this.
Yeah.
But we can't do that because basically they're our customers and we have to deal with our customers. But there's a lot of people that just don't need to do this job.
Yeah.
And so, so that's been a hard part.
Okay, well, tell me a good story. I was really encouraged that you were teaching these guys all this cool stuff.
This is a good story with cadets.
Okay.
So this is a funny one too. So we're doing nighttime pullovers in Forsyth, right? So we're doing nighttime pullovers. They get a little sideways.
Right.
They made us quit, but we used to like get in a foot chase and we'd run up through the woods and circle back and steal their car. Like I'd steal the police car. But we'll fight them. We'll do whatever.
Yeah. And
I tell them up front, I said, I'm going to go ahead and tell you, I'm not going to cooperate. You better do something.
Well, you don't need practice smooth traffic stops. No. Those are easy.
Well, we've been doing those all day long.
Yeah.
They get smooth stops all day. At nighttime, it's some nonsense. Mm-hmm. So this kid, he's from the Pickens Academy. We used to do stuff with them. So Pickens and Rome always did stuff together. So this kid comes up and young black guy, he's probably maybe 180 pounds, but you can look at him and tell him he's solid.
Yeah.
And so they put him on me. And so he comes up and, I don't remember if I had a warrant, whatever it was. He's like, get out of the car. I'm like, nope, I'm going to get you out of the car. Okay. So he starts pulling, fighting with me and stuff to get me out of the car. And this kid is super strong. I'm talking monster strong. So finally he gets my hands free and we're fighting. So we get out on the side of the road and I'm like in between the door and the side of the car. So I'm kind of in that little space. Mm-hmm. And I look up the road and there's 3 cars like side by side in the middle of the road. I thought, that's weird, but I kept right on fighting. I was having a good old time. So he finally gets me in a handcuff position and gets me handcuffed. I call index and we're kind of debriefing. Well, as we're debriefing, the 3 cars come by. Well, one of them is a guy named Chris Wigington. He is the director of the Georgia Public Safety Training Center. He's like the boss.
All right.
Like the head honcho. He's dying laughing. Right behind him is my boss, who's over Basic Mandate Division. He's dying laughing. And the third person is like one of the big wigs with Atlanta PD. And they're just rolling. So we're sitting there fighting on the side of the road. So the guy's like, LT, man, dude, I looked at you and I thought, well, LT's pretty strong. He said, then I grabbed hold of you and I was like, that boy's strong. I said, dude, you ain't no slouch. I said, what did you do? He's like, well, I played a little bit of college ball. I said, what do you mean college ball? He's like, well, I was a starting linebacker for Temple University. Mm. And then he went on to play for the Houston Texans as a linebacker. Okay. And then he played 1 year with the Texans, and then he went up and played in the Canadian League for 4 years.
Yeah.
And, dude, that kid was
He's an athlete.
Oh, gosh. I got done, and I was like, I need a break after five with that kid. He was so strong. But we're getting some of those. We're getting some former military guys that are super squared away. That there's one that came through last session that trained with PJ Sums. Last name is Zinga. He trained at Scramble some.
I may know his first name.
Really good guy, very squared away, good on the ground. I actually picked up a technique from him that I really liked on the rollover, so it's pretty slick. But we're getting some good kids that's got some life experience and got their head on straight. It's just we're struggling with some other ones, and so it is what it is. People come in with a weird sense of kind of how to train and how to do things, and that's one of the things that I really focused on too, is on the physical side of it. Because a lot of guys, they played football or whatever, and they, train lifting and stuff with football. They get out of school, and then the only thing they're exposed to is the big box kind of working out.
Right.
What's National Chest Day at every big box gym?
Yeah.
Monday. Monday's always National Chest Day. Chest and tries. Tuesday's back and buys. Wednesday or Thursday, whatever, is shoulders and legs. And so getting away from that and getting to a more full body, because it's like I tell them, when you get involved in a situation where I have to grab hold of you, I'm not doing bicep curls.
Yeah.
I'm not doing bench press. If you get on top of me in side control, am I doing bench press? No. I'm exploding with everything I have to try to get you off of me,
right?
Or to try to get my hips under. And so I don't want my body to act like a bunch of mixed match Frankenstein parts. I want it to all work together.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of one of the things I started working on even when I was at Rome. And so I decided I was going to write a little workout program just for first responders. Well, the problem was that workout program grew, and it wound up into a book. And I just now got the book finished. And
book is done.
Book is done.
Okay.
Book is ready to, well, other than adding, what I finally decided I was going to do the last couple of weeks was instead of doing like a paper printed version, I'm going to do it as an ebook. Number one, a lot less cost. Number two, a lot less headache for me.
Yeah.
But the other thing I can do is so part of the book is, like I said, it's got a bunch of sample workouts in there. Well, some of the stuff an average person may not know what a workout is or something, or what an exercise is. So with the ebook, I'm going to be able to embed YouTube videos. So when you're going through that list of what I'm supposed to do today, I can go, you know what? I don't know what this is. I can click on it, and the YouTube video hits.
A Russian hammer squat or whatever.
Yeah. Or a Russian twist or something like that. So I won't know what it is. So you can click on that link, and I'll have a video uploaded to YouTube. Cool thing is it'll help me build a YouTube following as well.
Yeah.
And so kind of progress everything, because there's other stuff that, still with Forge we're trying to do as far as like active shooter classes and church security team training, firearms classes. I'm actually doing a self-defense class for Rockmart Middle School girls in April.
Okay.
So I'm super excited.
That's going to be either real good or real bad.
Yes, but that was one thing I wanted to I've been talking to some of the schools about. I talked to Dr. Barge at Unity and got somebody trying to get me in at Darlington, is going in and teaching self-defense classes for like juniors and seniors.
Yeah.
Because you have, let's just say Unity, you have a senior girl at Unity. She's been at Unity her whole career. She's sheltered, right? And that's okay. That's a good thing. I want her to be that way.
Yeah.
But now she's going to the University of Georgia.
When she's not sheltered anymore.
No.
Yeah.
And maybe not been exposed to some of the type of people she's going to be exposed to.
Yeah.
And looking at it as far as self-defense in a dating aspect of things to know, things to look for, or hey, I got to go off campus and go to the grocery store by myself and I'm going at 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
Might not be the best idea, or how to have situational awareness in those situations.
Right.
So that's some of the stuff that I'm hoping is going to help grow.
That's cool, man.
But so with the book, like I said, it started out as a very simple workout program. Now it's got I think it's 16 sample workouts in there. It's got a 28-day devotional in it. It's got things about self-care because, one of the things that with Mighty Oaks that I learned was, the numbers for veteran suicides about 22 a day. Mm-hmm. But when you look at the ratio of number of veterans versus number of law enforcement, the frequency of it is the same. There's not 22 a day in law enforcement, but because there's a lot more veterans, the balance is different.
Right.
But so I wanted to put a self-care section in there. There's also a section in there about flexibility and mobility, because sitting in a patrol car for 12 hours will do severe damage on your back and hips and all that kind of stuff. You're stove up all the time. And then the other thing is, yes, I'm sitting in a car for several hours, but then I'm in a car chase or a foot chase.
Well, you don't get to stretch.
No,
right?
not at all.
No warm up. No,
there's no warm up. It's, I pull this car over and the guy bails out. Well, now I'm running.
Yeah.
If I don't do anything kind of throughout the night to kind of offset that, then I'm going to be hurt.
Yeah.
That was one good thing that I always really focused on when we were with SWAT. Most of the time, we had a little bit of time. Even if there was like a barricaded gunman or something, we'd go to the SWAT building, everybody get on the trucks. It's going to take 30 or 40 minutes to get everybody there. So while everybody's getting there, I'm changed. I'm over there kind of stretching and getting loose a little bit.
Yeah.
Because I know that I'm going to require my body to do something probably crazy in the next little bit.
Yeah.
And so I could prepare for that. But patrol, you can't prepare for that.
Yeah.
And so one of the smartest things I ever did was I started keeping a 50-pound kettlebell in my patrol car. That, we get slow at 3 o'clock in the morning, I'll go find me a parking lot. I'll go knock out quick little kettlebell workout, or just do even just walk in the parking lot just to stay moving.
That's got to go a long way toward prevention.
Yeah, for sure.
When there's a cop down the street slinging kettlebells right now, don't mess with him.
Don't go over there. That crazy fool swinging kettlebells. I don't know what he's doing. But and like some of the workouts in the book are actually on the range. That was one thing I posted on Facebook the other day. Was we were on the range, and so at lunchtime, I just always take my lunch. I take my lunch and I take my kettlebell.
Yeah.
I got ammo to shoot, and so I'll go get me a workout in. And so mixing shooting and working out, you're getting your heart rate up. I'm getting my heart rate elevated, which is going to be more like a for real situation when adrenaline's pumping and you're scared out of your brain. And if I can control that and slow that down enough to make that precision shot, because that's, I'm not going to be able just to run in and just spray and pray. It's like I tell the cadets, every round that comes out of your gun has a ambulance chasing attorney attached to it.
So Edgar said something almost identical to that too.
And you're
accountable for all of them.
You're accountable for every bit. Yeah. You're accountable for where it goes.
Yeah.
Because if I go into a house in a tactical situation, and let's say you got a warrant or whatever, you're my primary mission. You step out in the hallway, you pull a gun, and I shoot you, and it goes through you, and it hits your 7-year-old daughter or whatever behind you. By law, I'm covered,
right?
But I got to live with that the rest of my life.
Yeah.
And so, understanding that you're responsible for all that kind of stuff. So if I can slow that process down, of being so amped up, my heart rate's elevated because I've been swinging a kettlebell and I've ran and everything else. Now I can run and get to the 7 and slow down just a second to make a headshot.
What's the 7?
And that's all. Do what?
What's the 7?
7-yard line.
Okay.
Yeah. Typically we, I don't. If I have to, I'll make a headshot further than that, but I don't want to make a headshot further than about 25 feet.
Yeah. It's a long shot with a pistol.
It's a long shot with a pistol with a lot of variables in place.
Yeah.
Especially if they've got a hostage in front of them or something like that.
Yeah.
And so, but being able and being confident to make that shot, because there's a lot of guys that's not going to be confident.
Yeah, and if you're not confident with your firearm, I would just rather you keep it in your holster.
Yeah, yeah.
Where you might be the best shot in the world on the range when, it doesn't count for something.
Yeah.
But in that moment, you're not confident.
And it's funny because a lot of the guys will shoot better than me on a cold range, just static, just standing there punching papers. Yeah. But when the heart rate gets up, that's when I shine.
Yeah.
And that's when I feel my best. And so, so those kind of workouts I incorporate in that too. So like I said, it's got workouts, it's got nutrition stuff, it's got flexibility stuff, it's got self-care, it's got the devotional. So it grew on me a lot more than I expected it to.
Plus, when we first talked about it, it was those workouts. Do a set of workouts for first responders. Yeah. That's great, but inevitably it takes legs, and now it's
and it grows.
Its own thing.
Yeah. And I remember you said then, well, you can do a part 2, and I'm like, man, I barely survived part 1. I don't know if I want to do part 2 or not. I do. One of the things I'm wanting to try to start doing again is get back into the gym and maybe running some for like middle school kids, doing like some strength and conditioning stuff and speed stuff, because that's where my primary thing is. It comes from training fighters for so long.
Yeah.
But God's just opened a lot of cool doors. I just have to be okay in the process, and that's where I've struggled.
Yeah.
It's not that the process is bad.
Right.
It's just not exactly what I want.
We want it now.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, we want it right now. We don't want to have to wait for this process
to unfold. Or I want what's comfortable and what I like.
Right.
Yeah. Because you put me in a gym and you say, hey, listen, for the next 5 days for your workouts, you got to run 3 miles.
No,
Bust
thanks.
that.
Yeah.
Bust that. No, because that ain't what I like to do.
Yeah.
But I have to work on the things I don't like to do. And so I have to start, listen, I got done playing basketball a while ago and I realized I need to run more. Even though my knee was hurting, I still need to run more.
Yeah, yeah.
But building that, I want to build that total package. That's one thing I talk about in the book is every agency you go to, there's always like that grizzled old veteran that just, that looks like he's been there and done that, man. Yeah, and you can't, And that's what I want to build, and that's what I want to be. I want to be the one that everybody goes, hey, he's got it. He'll take care of it.
Your guys to all think you're RoboCop.
That's
right?
exactly right. Yeah. And I saw a quote, and I can't remember the exact quote, but it said that men look up to men who do manly things.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, or who do manly things well. That's what it was.
Yeah.
Men look at men doing manly things well. And I thought about that in the law enforcement setting, but also I thought about that in life. You know, to me, manly things well in law enforcement, they're going after the worst guys. You know, they're the guy that leads the train when it's time to go through a house. They're the guys that you count on no matter what.
Yeah.
They're the ones that, you know, my quote that I always say was, it's the guys that I'll take on hell with a water pistol.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the guys that I want.
Right.
But in life, it's the guys that, you know, to me, they hunt, provide for their family. They build or whatever, or they can do fires, or they can do all these kind of things. And to me, what a man does well,
right.
or what a man should do well. I think about, you know, my granddaddy's generation. They didn't work out with weights and stuff.
No, they were just, I mean, they're tossing hay bales and
yes,
working without electric tools, you know.
You know, my granddaddy was a carpenter,
yeah.
You know, and so when I go get his when I still get his tools out of the shop, it's hand saws and things like that.
He didn't have a laser level,
no.
you know.
You know,
he was just doing it the old
he's
way.
cutting it with an old miter box with a hand saw.
Yeah,
You know, but he's making trim that looks like it grew there on the side of the wall.
Yeah.
Or, you know, they built everything by hand, and so they were just tough and strong. We've gotten away from a lot of that, and so that's kind of some of the stuff that I tried to do with the book, is try to build resiliency, I guess you would say.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of some of the directions I've been going with that, and trying to open up some doors and try to push forward and help law enforcement, first responders, or whatever grow. And the ultimate goal is they make it home safe.
That's it.
That's all I care about.
Yeah.
Right. Again, it ain't about money, that's for sure. I wouldn't be in law enforcement if it was.
Oh, man. Yeah. Well, maybe this book will sell a bajillion times.
That'd be nice. I'd like that. Right. Yeah. And then I could just do what I want to.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's it called?
It's going to be called Forged for Service.
Forged for Service.
Yeah, Forged for Service. Building a tactical athlete. Because to me, everybody's an athlete in some way.
Right.
Right. They may play pickup basketball. They may go to jiu-jitsu. They may do whatever. But everybody's an athlete in some way. Not everybody wants to stand on a stage in a Speedo, you know, all oiled up and stuff.
Yeah.
So why do we train that way? Why do we train like a bodybuilder if we're not going to be bodybuilders? Now, if you have a specific injury that you're rehabbing or whatever, that's one thing.
Yeah.
But why do we train our body to work like a bunch of Frankenstein mixed match parts when that's not what our goal is? Our goal is typically our goal is so that I can pick my kid up and hug him.
Yeah.
Or I can get in a foot chase with my kid and him not beat me.
Right. Just go roughhouse and play in the yard
for sure.
or whatever. Yeah.
Or a bad situation happens and I can respond accordingly because my body is designed for that or been trained for that. Because I tell the cadets all the time, your body wants to respond as one unit. Your body wants to work together. But if all you've done is train this part and this part and this part and nothing together, when a situation happens in law enforcement especially, and I grab hold of somebody, if I'm not trained my body to use my hips and use my shoulders and use my legs all at the same time, my body's going to want to.
Yeah.
And if I'm not trained that way, well, now I've pulled something and I've tweaked something and I've hurt something.
Right.
Now I'm 6 weeks on light duty because I'm hurt.
Ugh.
And so
nobody wants to be a cop on light duty.
No, Lord, you get stuck in records.
Yeah.
Literally, we used to always say that light duty can cure cancer because you could have cancer and they put you in light duty and I'm like,
I'm fine, I'm good.
No, I'm good. Nope.
Exact same Ricky Robinson.
I guarantee you.
Yeah.
I'm sure he did because I was that way. I ripped my bicep loose from the bone at SWAT training.
God.
And so Dr. Brown fixed it. You know, Dr. Brown's a cool guy. He played, I think he played linebacker at Purdue. He played in one of the Ivy League schools. And so I come back in after my, you know, like I've been out for a month or whatever. I come back in and he's like, okay, what you been doing in the weight room? Nothing, doc. He's like, don't lie to me. He's like, what are you deadlifting? I was like, 135. Don't do no more. Okay. I come back like 2 weeks later. I'm afraid to ask, what are you deadlifting? 275. Okay. No more. Okay, doc. You know, the next time, what are you deadlifting? 350?
Yeah.
Just don't come back. But he was.
You're
it was
fired.
Fun. You're fired. But I mean, I have a hard time sitting still and just healing. But I I totally believe that records healed me faster because nobody wants to be down there.
Got to get out of there, man. Yeah.
Man, especially when you're. Some guys like it because they're just there for a paycheck, man.
Yeah.
My dude, I hated it because I was stuck. Number one, it's day shift, and I hate day shift.
Yeah.
Number two, it's when all the administrators are around, and I want to be there when they're around because I don't play well with them. But number three, there's no fun.
There's zero action.
Yeah, zero action. You're sitting at a desk, and like where I was at, first time I was doing, what do they call that? CALIA, but it's like the accreditation process. And so really you're really reading through reports, finding reports that back up what your policies are.
Right.
So it's monotonous. It's awful. So then they move you downstairs. And you're working the front desk, and people will come in, with dumb reports of somebody stole my garbage can lid or some nonsense like that. Or they'll want to buy a serving license, like waiters and waitresses come in for their liquor license. And so you're handling that. And it's just like, I'm police.
Not what you signed up for.
No. It's like what is that? Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. And when the cop goes, I ain't no pastry chef, I'm a police. Yeah. That's one of my favorite quotes. And so that's where I was. I'm like, I'm not no secretary, I'm a police.
No, want to get out there and do it.
Yeah. And that's been what's hard now is I'm like, I feel sometimes like a secretary.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. So now if I got to survive this basketball game, I'll be all right.
Be good to go, right?
Well, I hope so, man.
Well,
she'll sign me up for something else.
It's never going to end. Tell us about the basketball game.
So my girlfriend, Sarah, is the executive director for ESP here in town. ESP stands for Extra Special People. And what they do is they build life experiences for people and families with children with disabilities. So they do summer camps. Every year they have them at Georgia Highlands. They also do a overnight camp up in, I think it's Watkinsville. I think that's where it's at. It's up there near Athens. They'll be up at the national park up there. They do an overnight camp. And so they build experiences for kids that might possibly not have those experiences.
Right.
So one of the things they're doing is, they bought the property where We the Church is.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And so the gym area, they're remodeling that. And they're going to build an all-access playground up there.
Oh, okay.
And so it's for all kids of all access, all abilities. And so so this is one of their big fundraisers. It's called Big Hoops. And so what it is this year is government versus industry. So the government team is a bunch of cops and firefighters and people like that. There's one guy that works for the Parks and Rec Authority. Yeah. And the sheriff's on that team, and then we're playing people from industry, commercial industry and stuff. And so it's a big deal. They have it at Darlington School. There'll be between 700 to 900 people there.
Wow.
Yeah, and so rules are a little different. So like I think it's like the second and third quarter, any fouls, some of the participants come out and shoot free throws. So it gets them involved. Yeah. It's just a big deal. But like I said, they do camps. They did a huge talent show a few weeks ago. They packed out Rome High Auditorium.
Okay.
So they have participants up that were doing talent shows and stuff.
Yeah.
But they have locations in Athens, which is where it started. It's been up there for about 20-something years. They have Rome, which is pretty new. And then they have a brand new one in Savannah.
Okay.
And so it's a big fundraiser. And it just provides camp for these people so that their parents and families don't have to pay for it.
Right.
And so they'll do other events. They'll do like bowling every week. They'll do just different stuff. I'm trying to remember where they went. They went somewhere else. They're doing an overnight camping trip with Chad Wright with 307.
Okay,
Him and Blake. Yeah, they're doing an overnight camping trip with them.
That'll be fun.
And so, they'll do all kind of fun stuff. And so it's a really cool event. When they have the camps, they'll set up what they call a welcome wagon, and it's just a lot of people kind of on the side as these kids come in for camp, and loud music and pom-poms and just cheering them on. It's like a big, it's like a big red carpet treatment.
That's cool.
And so it's really cool. And so, like I said, I got volunteered to play. I hadn't played basketball in a long, long time, but luckily I got some guys that play a lot. And so we're raising money for that. And so people can can buy tickets to come watch. We would love for people to come watch because it's a really cool experience. And you can make fun of me playing basketball. It's
there
okay.
You go. That's the main thing.
But their website is espbighoops.com. You can donate. You can donate on my Fansly page. It just helps generate money. Each one of us was kind of charged with raising a certain amount of money.
Right.
And so they can donate on that. They can just donate to the main ESP page. But they're always looking for volunteers.
Yeah.
So high school teams that are looking for like community service projects or whatever, our academy class has helped out with community service for them the last couple of sessions, like with parking and things like that. One of the things I liked about it was part of the community that we have to deal with in law enforcement is special needs.
Right.
Because let's say you pull up on a wreck where a mom and a kid's inside the car. Mom may be injured and the kid may have autism.
Yeah.
Knowing how to respond to that child is super important.
Yeah.
Because he may not understand, or he may not work well with me saying, "Son, get out of the car, get out of the car."
Right.
Right. Whereas he may be high functioning in electronics is his thing. I may be able to say, "Hey, buddy, will you come get out of the car?" and offer him my phone.
Yeah.
Something like that. So understanding people with disabilities and being part of that has been really cool for me because it's been eye opening. I grew up in a church with a girl that had Down syndrome, and so I was exposed to it really young. But understanding the pressure their families go through.
Yeah.
They want a normal life.
Yeah.
And they'll never have a normal life.
Well, I had that thought. I worked with students with autism for 13 years in public school.
Yeah.
And it took me a couple years, but it finally dawned on me. I get to send these kids home at 3:10 every day. Yeah. Mom and Dad don't get a break.
No.
That's their life.
Yeah.
That's tough. Yeah.
And so they do a thing called club. And so it's like, I can't remember, it's on Friday nights. I think it's like twice a month they do club. And so the parents will drop a kid off. They will have a buddy there that will be with them the whole time.
Yeah.
And so they'll come, buddy will meet them, and they'll hang out with their buddies, and they'll do crafts or just, watch a movie. They'll do stuff.
Just hang out stuff.
They get to hang out. The participant gets to spend time with somebody else, and that it's a growing experience for that person.
Yeah.
And then the parents get a little bit of a break.
Yeah.
So they can go have dinner. Or they can if they have other kids, they can take their other kids to the movie or something.
Right.
And so it benefits everybody.
That's
so they do
cool.
club, they do programs where they go play, they bowl and different stuff. But the community has really stepped up and helped ESP grow.
Yeah.
And so we're hoping that, like I said, they raised $90,000 with Big Hearts, which was the talent show.
Yeah.
The very first one they ever did in Rome.
It'll be
but they
twice that big next time.
Oh yeah, they'll have to have a bigger location
Yeah.
because Rome High wasn't big enough.
That's cool.
And so that was really fun. But like I said, they raised like $90,000 that night. They'll probably raise close to 150, 200 with big hoops.
Basketball game.
Yeah.
That'll be
So
cool.
it's a lot of fun. It's a big night. And so man, if you ain't got nothing going on next Friday, come out to Darlington. It's going to be a really
next
good time.
Friday.
Yeah.
What's the date?
The 28th, 29th, whatever
20
Friday is.
Okay. Are we going to be out by then?
It's 28th.
Okay.
Yes, 28th.
Cool.
And so it'll be at Darlington at the Huffman Center, I think it's called.
Yeah.
And so
What time? Did you just say what time?
I think tip-off's at 7.
Okay.
I think that's right. I think doors open at 6. And they'll have a lot of fun stuff going on before.
Cool.
But yeah, it's and then as the game progresses, they want you to foul more so that the participants can come and be part of it and shoot.
Yeah.
We have a 4-point shot. So they
It's
have
like the Rock and Jock game we used to watch back in the
So
day.
you have 2 opportunities. I think it's each quarter or each half that the coach of each team can ask for a 4-point shot. And they have an uncontested, you can't get in their face or nothing. It's just
fire
shoot.
it up.
Yeah. It's back from the logo like Caitlin Clark shot.
Yeah.
But Heath Hooper from Shorter College.
Okay, yeah.
He is our coach.
Okay. I was about to ask who your coach was.
Yeah, he's our coach. I can't remember the coach for the industry team. But we've got, like I said, we got Anthony Banks, who's a city cop. We got Zach Coker, who works for the sheriff's office. Dave Robson, the sheriff's on that team with me.
Dave.
Yeah. Harry Brock's on that team.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Emily Clater, she's the basketball coach out at Pepperell.
Yeah.
She's on our team. And so it's going to be a lot of fun.
That'll be cool.
Yeah. And so it's just a cool experience. But, God just keeps opening the doors. I made a decision a long time ago, back when I was singing, that whatever door God opened, I'd walk through it. And he has kept me true to that.
Yeah.
For a lot of times. Like I said, I played in a Christian rock band for a long time, and we traveled all over. We play in places that could not afford to pay us.
Yeah.
And we just always ask, whatever you could give. And other than that, God will take care of it.
Yeah.
None of us ever put money in our pockets. We always bought new equipment or more equipment or, rented trailers or whatever we had to do. But I have to look at the academy as one of those opportunities that not exactly where I want to be at the time. It is where I want to be. It's not fielding my chaos right now.
Yeah. So. Yeah. The timing wasn't what you thought, but
no, but it's okay. His time is better than mine. And
that's a fact, right?
Yeah. And so you gotta trust in that and know that he's a whole lot smarter than we are.
Oh man, yeah. For sure. He might be saving you from something, getting you off the street,
Probably. Right. I hadn't been gone long. I've been gone just a few weeks, maybe 6 months. And one of my best friends got shot up in Walker County. They were going in on a guy who had a child molestation warrant out of Whitfield County. They get there, knock on the door. Mama comes to the door. Yeah, he's back there in the bedroom. They start calling out. Guy comes out in the hall, sees him, turns around and goes back in the room. They go to get him. Brandon boots the door, and typically me and Brandon, one of us was number one through the door, one was number two. We would switch back and forth, just whoever got there.
Right.
And so we were the ones that. I can't remember. Is it Eric Ludy that does the Rock Kazakh message? You ever seen it?
I have not.
So Rock Kazakh is the old Hebrew war cry.
Yeah.
And so I think his name is Eric Ludy. He's a pastor. Yeah. Really cool video. But that's he was on the team here. He worked for Floyd County PD. I worked for Rome. Mm-hmm. And so we would literally look at each other if we were going through the door and be like, Rock Kazakh. And just start grinning from ear to ear because we knew no matter what was on the other side of that door, we wasn't in control of it no way.
Right.
That God was in control. And so we were always together in Walker. And so he went to work up there, then I went not long after. And so goes after the guy. The guy reaches on a table, turns and shoots Brandon in the arm. Caught him right below the elbow. Luckily, if it had been about an inch higher, it had blown his elbow out. Brandon addressed the threat, let's just say, and handled that situation. And that for me was a kick in the gut because I was like, I should have been there. That was my boy. We don't go through doors without each other, and I left, and that was hard, really hard. So dealing with those kind of things, that's been the hardest part for me. Being off the road, away from the action, is my guys are going into stuff, and I'm not there.
Yeah, but now you get the story.
Yeah,
and you can say, hey, this is what happens. This is a real thing that happened to somebody that you might know. You know,
and I actually brought him in on Officer Survival Day to talk to our cadets.
There you go.
And he got to explain to them, and even he gives all honor to God. He's like, you know what, man, I shouldn't have survived that.
Yeah.
He said, that guy pointed a gun right at me. I should have survived.
Shoots him in his arm. If it's this much further, it hits his aorta, and
Well, and I know how Brandon runs a gun. Brandon runs a rifle the same way I do. He runs it out what's called a C grip, which is a long forearm grip like this. Right? He doesn't run it in tight. He runs it out long. So that angle here, a little higher, is right dead in his face.
Yeah.
And so a little bit to the side, and he would have been shot in the face.
Yeah.
And so I mean, God had it. God protected him the whole time. And so it's really, that part of his build is cool to look at it and go, that's my boy. He put his trust in God. God took care of it.
Yeah.
The bad part is that's my boy, and I should have been right beside him.
Yeah.
I should have been there with him. So.
Yeah. Just wasn't your time, man.
Yeah, it was. And that's okay.
Yeah. It is what it is.
He had other plans.
He did. And you just keep walking through those doors, man, and he'll keep opening them. And it's not up to us to ask, what door is next. It's just up to us to be faithful.
It is. And just trusting him, again, like I said, to trust that his plan's better.
That's it.
So, but hopefully he'll get this book thing going, and get pushing forward with that, and we can kind of open up some more doors and hopefully help some guys, number one, get in better functional shape, but also with the devotional, I hope that it'll kind of prick their heart. And I even said in the books, like, I hope this is not the time you check out.
Yeah.
Right. We get to this devotional. I hope it's not the time that you just, because every story in the book or every story in the devotionals is a true story that happened. Every single one of them, And so, and I tell people all the time in academy class, I will tell you my horror stories, the stuff that I did stupid.
Yeah.
Just as fast as I'll tell you war stories.
Right.
I will tell you the times that I walked away going, that was dumb.
Lucky to be alive.
That's exactly right, dude. You get in the car and you're like, how did I survive that one? Mm-hmm. I've gone to calls without my gun.
Oh.
I mean, like, because, you get out the jail, you put it in the trunk or put it on your seat, and you get on the call and you're like, ooh, I'm glad I got to back up.
Right.
And so, yeah, there's been plenty of times. And so, I always told my rookies, any mistake you can walk away from, that's a mistake you can learn from.
Yeah.
If you can't walk away from it, you got a lot bigger problems.
Uh-huh.
So, anyway.
Well, man, let me know when it comes out, and we'll help you plug it any way we can.
Yeah.
And
like I said, it's just going through the process of the ebook stuff now and getting all that uploaded and all that kind of stuff. But hopefully, I'm hoping by first of summer it'll be done, be ready to roll.
Good deal. Looking forward to it, man.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you for coming back on.
Hey, I love it, man.
Yeah, we'll do it
we've
again
been
sometime.
trying to hook up forever.
Dude, for months now. Yeah.
And then stuff just keeps coming up. That's what I told Bear the other day. I said, I was supposed to do this before, and I can't remember. Something came up with you
Basketball.
or Bennett or
It was
something.
basketball,
yeah, I think
man.
it's basketball. Yeah.
Which
she was
Dad-
getting ready for, they were playing state.
Yeah.
And so it was really cool this year because she won state in middle school, and she was also playing varsity. And so she won state and varsity too.
Oh,
so she won state, middle school, and varsity this year. So it was really cool.
Keep that kid on the team, man.
Well, she's a scrapper, man. She's not a big scorer, but she is a defensive fiend.
You got to have that player too.
Well, and I told her, I said, listen, if you hustle and you play hard defense, coaches love you.
I will expect that effort out of you Friday in that basketball game.
As long as my legs work, I'll be there.
There you go.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, man, I appreciate it. We're going to jump off right there.
Yep.
Thank you guys, each and every one of you listening out there, watching. God bless you. We love every single one of you. See you next time.